So undoubtedly history is a very popular subject, and that's the reason because of what people are opting it, and that's why they're getting selected in medieval and modern. And that goes in a chronological manner. Those who have been liking the subject, some sort of interest in the subject, I think they should also go for history, the conceptual understanding, and most importantly the answer writing, because at the end what you write in the examination hall, your marks are precisely based on that. So we have designed the course in such a way, after joining this foundation course, you do not have any other requirement.
I would like to thank Piyush sir, because it was his guidance in history optional subject which made me get this rank. I was greatly benefited through his guidance in ancient and medieval history, that is paper 1. He explains difficult concepts in a very lucid manner.
My optional was history, and I got 316 marks in my history optional, which I think was the highest in my batch. So I would like to convey my regards to Piyush sir.
Hello all, this is Piyush, and today I'm here to announce about one course what Sarrthi IS is going to bring for you, and that course is on history optional. So Sarrthi IS is going to launch a new course on history optional from 15th of January 2026. Now, undoubtedly when it comes to this particular course, there are certain features what I would like to discuss in this particular session. So first of all, the most important question that who is going to be your mentor? So it's me only. So I have been mentoring the UPSC aspirants for last many years. And so far I have mentored thousands of students, and many of them became successful also. Many of them have secured very good rank, and only because of that reason that they scored very good in the subject. Couple of them have managed to cross even 300 also, and trust me, there are several students like those who got 270, 280, 290 marks in history, and that's how they managed very good rank in UPSC Civil Services examination. So undoubtedly history is a very popular subject, and that's the reason because of what people are opting it, and that's why they are getting selected. But then yes, of course, there is a question that why to choose history optional. And that is true also when you are having so many choices, because in optional you are, as you all know, that you are having choices. So when you have so many choices, in that case that question naturally comes in the mind that why to go for history optional. There are several subjects, and in fact the pros and the cons of all these subjects or all these optional paper are very popular in the market. But I must tell you that as far as history optional is concerned, it has always been an evergreen subject in the UPSC field or UPSC Civil Services examination since the days of its beginning. People kept on taking the optional paper by the time it got introduced or from the time it got introduced. So when it comes to history optional, there are certain things which makes it really beautiful. The first thing that you need to know that this particular optional paper is very straightforward. The things must be studied in a chronological manner. And that's why it feels that ultimately you have been learning a story. What is history optional? History optional is nothing, but basically it is about the story of India. Precisely in 3 parts you study the story of India, that is ancient, medieval and modern. And that goes in a chronological manner. So you first read ancient and you understand certain things for the ancient India. Then you enter into medieval, which is the next part. And then you see the developments again in a very story-like manner. And then it comes to modern India, as you all know, that in this particular part, you study about the colonization of India and then the way India is getting or achieving its freedom. And in the last part, ultimately, you study about the world history. So some very important themes of the world history is taken, and they have been given in the syllabus, and all these important events you need to study. So the things are in a very much chronological manner and in a story format, and that's how it seems to be quite easy as compared to the other optional papers. The second thing that you need to keep in mind that unlike the other optional papers, you don't need to unfold the syllabus. Frankly speaking, whatever you study in general studies, in the same way, you have been studying the history optional also. Undoubtedly, you need to elaborate it. You have to slightly make it bigger. But it doesn't happen that like the other papers, such as, let's say if you talk about polity. So it is not true that you have been reading something else in general studies, and when it comes to the optional paper, you have been reading something altogether different. The way you read the history in general studies, so you read ancient Indian history, medieval Indian history, modern Indian history, and in fact, you even read the world history. So exactly the same thing is there even in the history optional. But here you need to elaborate the things, and the things must be understood in a more conceptual manner rather than like only in a very factual manner. So that's the reason because of what, whether you want or not, ultimately you have been studying many portions of history. And in fact, I must say all the portions of history for your general studies. And in fact, if you elaborate it slightly and you get certain conceptual understanding within it, ultimately it becomes the optional paper. Sometimes it is being said that the syllabus is bit vast, but then frankly speaking, the syllabus is not vast. Rather, if you have been following a proper method to understand the subject, in that case, it is not very lengthy or it is not very vast also. Rather, you can cover it within that limited time of 5 to 6 months. So I think 5 to 6 months are sufficient. And that's the reason because of what, like, history is such a subject which is being opted by thousands of students every year, because people are having their natural choices towards this particular subject. There is another thing that you need to know, that which kind of people should opt for history optional. Now that remains a great confusion. So I must say, undoubtedly those who have done some sort of degree on history, such as somebody has done the graduation or post-graduation in history, in that case, I think they should not go for the second choices. Rather, they should opt history as an optional paper as their like a very first choice. But apart from those also, like those who have done certain degree on history, those who have been liking the subject, history is such a subject like which is being liked by so many people. There is a very natural interest in the subject, and that's the reason because of what people are liking this subject. So those who are having some sort of like some sort of interest in the subject, I think they should also go for history, because your interest in the subject is very important whenever you have been opting for any optional paper. Because if you do not have interest, in that case, over the period, it becomes a burden for you. And you are not ready to carry the subject for a longer period of time. That's the reason because of what I must say, that if you have been really having an interest in the subject, in that case, without any second thought, you should go for it. And the most important question, that when it comes to like choosing history optional, you must keep in mind one thing, that when it comes to the other subjects, like unfolding of the syllabus is very important. Now here, any kind of unfolding is not necessary. The syllabus have been given in a very straightforward manner, and you need to study like everything that has been given in the syllabus itself. So you don't need to decode it, you don't need to unfold the syllabus, and you have to cover the hidden portions as such. The next important thing which makes history very important, that the regular updation is not needed, which is true for most of the other optional papers, that where you need to upgrade it every year. You need to integrate certain current affairs every year in your optional paper, which is not needed in history optional. Once you have studied the subject, trust me, for coming 2-3 attempts, let's say if you have been writing 2-3 attempts, like the same knowledge is going to help you. So you don't need to upgrade it. These are the reasons because of what I must say, history has always been a subject which is liked a lot by the people. And that's the reason because of what, as I told you, that history is being opted by several people every year. And every year, like, hundreds of people are getting selected with this optional paper. Moving to the next question. The question is also very important. Why choose like a foundation batch? That's again very important question. That when you have been choosing this optional paper, why to go for this foundation course? How it is helpful to you? Sometimes when precisely it is true for history optional, that when you have been choosing this optional paper, you believe that ultimately this is just a story. And this story, you can read it from somewhere. You can read from any notes or any books as such, which is not the correct thing. When you have been choosing history as an optional paper, you must know that there are certain technical things even in this subject also. And when you read this subject, it is very important that ultimately you have been studying this subject as the requirement of UPSC Civil Services examination. Let's say if you have done your degree or graduation or post-graduation in the subject, you believe that like you have already covered the syllabus. But then you must keep a note in your mind that when you study it in academics, the approach is slightly different. When you study it for UPSC, then approach should be very much different. So trust me, when you are reading history optional or UPSC, in that case, you need to understand the right approach. And this approach cannot be built in any test series or any crash course like thing. So that's the reason because of what foundation course is such a course which is ultimately building the things from the basics itself. Not only it is like getting you the content or getting you the covering the syllabus, but also it develops so many things simultaneously, such as the conceptual understanding, the content which is needed, and most importantly the answer writing, because at the end what you write in the examination hall, your marks are precisely based on that. So history optional foundation course, what we are going to launch, it is a sort of complete package. So in the foundation course, the concept building is there, the content coverage is there, regular answer writing practice is there, and most importantly, the mentorship, which is very much needed at least these days, where somebody is there to assist you regularly. And that's the reason because of what I must say, the history optional foundation course is going to be a sort of complete package which resolves every question of yours or every problem of yours. And that's how you must opt for the foundation course, and don't be under this perception that if you have studied the subject by your own, in that case you have covered the syllabus. There are so many such areas what can be passed on to you only once a mentor is properly guiding you. Moving to the next question, that why you should come to this platform of Sarrthi IS. Now Sarrthi IS has become very popular in last few years only. And do you know why? It is only because of this reason, that they are exactly catering the same requirement which is needed in UPSC. And that too they have been offering in very affordable prices. That is the reason because of what aspirants are loving Sarrthi IS these days. And the same we have done for history optional also. So we are offering it at a very affordable price. That's the reason I think you should come to the platform of Sarrthi IS, and you should definitely opt for history optional at our platform. Now, there are certain core features I must discuss, that we are going to cover the syllabus within 5 months. I have already discussed that within 5 months we are going to have a sort of complete coverage of the syllabus along with the answer writing and other things. The second important feature is conceptual and analytical approach. If you believe that it is merely a story, that is incorrect. Of course, you need certain concepts, and the concepts must be passed on to you in such a way that you can ultimately conceptualize it, you comprehend it, and you can you are in a position to absorb it. That is the reason because of what we follow a conceptual and analytical approach, that you come out from this fear that ultimately in history optional you need to mug up so many things. If your concepts are sound, in that case any kind of question is coming, with the help of concepts only you'll be able to answer those questions. Next is study material. So we are going to provide 5 booklets for 5 important parts of history optional. So 4 parts are ancient, medieval, modern, and world, and apart from that is separate material for map area. So these 5 booklets along with the classes would cater all your requirements which is needed for UPSC examination. And then finally it comes to the test. So as we go for regular test, why? Because ultimately, as I have already discussed, that what do you know, that is not very important. How do you present it in your answers? That is the most important thing. And that's how only the knowledge cannot get you through. So how you're going to produce that knowledge in your answer script, that is also very important. That is the reason because of what we are going to have the weekly test. And then those tests would be discussed by me only. And that's how the way I did tell you that it is going to be a sort of complete package. So we have designed the course in such a way, after joining this foundation course, you do not have any other requirement. So ultimately the content that you have prepared in those 5 months, that would be your final stuff, your final material, and after that nothing else is needed, right? So I'm just looking forward that you people are joining this course. So I welcome you all to join this particular course, and I believe that after joining this course, undoubtedly you'll be able to score very good, and all my supports and the knowledge would be there with you, right? Thank you very much.